Today's goal is to make bagels. Since my husband and I are dairy free and we're trying also to be grain free as best we can, we are going to use a cassava flour bread recipe from another YouTuber called Cary's Kitchen, and we're just going to modify it just a little bit in order to make bagels. Step number 1 is 1 1/3 cups of cassava flour in our bowl. Step number 2 is 1 1/3 cup of arrowroot powder. Step number 3 is 2 1/4 teaspoons or 1 packet of quick rise yeast. Now I've also used active rise yeast. It works in the same way. And step number 4, give it a quick mix so everything is even throughout. In this separate bowl, I have 4 eggs. I haven't beaten them or anything yet. I'm going to add half a cup of warm water and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Next step is to whisk it all together. Back to our dry ingredients, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of olive oil spread and mash it all together. I am going to mix all of this together using my hand. The warmth from my hand will help the butter to become even more soft and be easier to mix together. Once the butter becomes small little pieces, you know that you've done a good job. Okay, so now we are going to add our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients while mixing, just a little at a time. And then once the dough starts to form, we can actually put a towel over it and let it sit for an hour. Alright, it's nice and sticky. Now we're going to put our towel over it and we'll be back in an hour. So here is where we're going to tweak things just a little bit. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of this everything spice mix into our bread and knead it in, because I don't like putting spices on top of a bagel. Every time you go to pick them up, stuff falls off, whereas if it's inside the bagel, you're going to get all the deliciousness. Looks like that emptied it right out. I'm going to knead this dough with my hands, and then I'm going to shape it into 12 little balls so that I have enough to fill my donut mold. It's nice and puffy from all the yeast and it smells really good. If when you're making this it ends up being too wet, you can always add some more flour in to try and help it be a little bit more solid. Which is what I think I am going to end up having to do. So I added a 1/4 cup of extra cassava flour to my bowl in order to firm up my dough, and then I ended up separating the dough into 12 somewhat equal-sized portions, and now I'm going to roll it out in my hands and put it in the donut pan. I like to try and get it as flat and even on top all the way around as I can because they are going to puff up once they're in the oven. Off camera, I filled our pre-greased donut pans with about equal amounts of dough. Some of them are a little more full than others, but that's okay because they're all going to taste great when they come out. These pans are going to go into a oven that's preheated to 375 degrees for about 25 minutes. It's been 25 minutes. They look beautiful. Now it's time to cut them. Sooner rather than later, because the longer you wait, the harder the crust becomes. And you definitely don't want to cut your fingers. Look at that. Nice and squishy on the inside. So cut them, put them in the refrigerator so you can have them in the morning for breakfast. And I will do the rest of them off camera. All sliced and ready for the fridge and breakfast in the morning, whether that's cream cheese or jelly, whatever strikes your fancy. I used everything seasoning in these bagels, but you can use whatever you like, whether that's cinnamon and raisin or sesame seeds. I hope this recipe encourages you to try something new, and you have a nice rest of your day.